Well, Phyllis, one of the things I've learned from you is all about giving our rats a special spa treatment. You even use special oil for their tails and their little hands.
Yeah, sometimes I use, it depends on their age. The boys sometimes get a butt grease bath, but after I clean them with like a baby wipe, wash their little face and clean their eyes, I keep ointment on hand for their eyes. For when they get old, they get dry sometimes, and it's an antibiotic. It's a oil, you can buy it at any store. For hair, it's called tea tree oil. It's a mixture of vitamin E, tea tree, you name it. It's in this really light, beautiful smelling natural oil. They get it on their little hands, they get it on their face, they get it on their tail, and if need be, I massage it in their little backs. And they just love it. They love their massages. And the oil keeps them from, their little ears, their eyes. The tea tree oil, of course, keeps away infections and such. And the essential oils baby their skin.
Well, Phyllis, some of us, especially those of us who have been involved in rat rescue work, find ourselves going long distances to rescue rats in dire straits. Tell us how far you've gone to rescue rats.
Well, a friend of mine she was a ratty lady, and she was really good about finding rats and then sharing with people on my list I was a member of. And she told me that there was this lady in California that had some ratties, and they were getting ready, some little young rats, two of them that were getting ready to come on a rat train towards the middle of the United States. I live in Kansas. So they joined. I said I would take them. The closest they were going to be to me was Nebraska, which I live clear at the south end of Kansas, so I traveled 2 states. The whole state of Kansas, half the state of Nebraska. And we got there within 10 minutes of each other. We both were driving red 4-wheels, and it was a wonderful thing. I got two of the most beautiful, precious little girl hairless ratties, clear from California. And the other one was 2 little rats I found on Craigslist in Oklahoma, which is another state away. And we drove there and picked them up from their owners. And they were so tiny. And again, I put them in my sweatshirt, and we drove all the way home with them in there because it was cold weather, and I didn't want them to get too cold. They were young. So I don't know how far I would drive. I've drove to Denver to pick them up, which is Colorado. That's a whole state away. So that's how far I drive, 500 miles one way, so that's 1,000 miles round trip.
Well, looking back over the many years of rat parenting that you've been involved in, what is it that you wish you would have known more about in the beginning?
The importance of the bonding with them. When you first get them, the holding them and talking with them and feeding them treats and just letting them feel your love, making friends with them. They bond to you, and you can feel the friendship. And to enjoy them every day, because their life is short. God doesn't let us have them very long. Enjoy every minute you can with them. That is some regrets I had with my younger rats, or my earlier days.
Well, Phyllis, those of us who have been fortunate enough to know you as a friend know that you're an extremely talented artist with an emphasis on pencil sketches. Most people don't know that you had a chance at a scholarship to pursue your art, but life took you down another road.
Yeah, I earned some scholarships to go to art schools, but didn't get to go. But I still, all through my life, did artwork. After I had my rats and was a member of a rat club, my friends started losing, their little rats, and they would be so upset, and I would feel so bad for them, and I would like their rats too, or love them, just through being on the forum and being their friend. And I would have it in my heart to do something for them. And it came upon me one day, I'll draw a picture of this lady's rat. I drew the pictures, and I thought, this was a young person. I thought, wouldn't it be neat if she had a hand-painted, one-of-a-kind T-shirt, black and white, no color involved, just the black on the light gray T-shirt, of her rat with any caption she chose, birth dates and death date if she chose. I drew some unique, precious little rat foot tracks that I used on some of them, and a little red foot track that I used as a signature. And I painted a rat. Needless to say, when I was flooded, so I don't know over the years how many I have painted, and I just finished doing a drawing for a very dear friend of mine of his little rat that passed. And I went through cancer, and I have numb hands now. But for some reason, God didn't take away my ability. I have not drawn since my cancer. And I sat down and created Tiverton in a heartbeat. It's something, I don't know that I could draw a dog or a cat or people with the accuracy and their eyes and their expression. I capture them for some reason, and I believe it's because I know their little souls. I know them so well. I've looked at so many of those precious little faces. I know every crack and every cranny and every little whisker and every beautiful eye, little teeth and fingers. So consequently, I can create them very well.
Well, anyone who has seen your pencil sketches of your precious ratties knows that the most noticeable feature that captures their essence is how you draw their eyes.
That's it. It's the eyes. The eyes. And everybody always said that. I've seen other artwork of other people do of rats, and they don't. My rats look like they're looking at you. They look like they're alive, and it's because I believe I get in the proper mood. I have to be in the right mood, and I believe probably they may come help me create this art. I have sold art, and I have had art hanging in like libraries and schools and whatnot, but nothing brought me joy and fulfillment like my rats, the portraits of my rats. And I just do black and white because, for some reason, that to me is really the good way to get the essence of anything, even a sketch of a house, black and white.
Well, Phyllis, another aspect of your art is how you develop the ability to paint on cloth, sweatshirts, T-shirts, and the like, with a very unusual process.
People ask me, and I would try so hard to explain to them. But I'm telling you, it's something I had developed, and it's quite unique because I use medium, which is liquid latex, and I use craft paint, simple little apple barrel craft paint, and water in tiny little art brushes. I transfer the drawing onto a shirt with a little bit of a heat thing, so I don't have to, because it's too hard to draw on fabric. Then I just mix my paint. If it's going to be a dark, established line, I'll mix it thicker. It's usually a third latex, 2/3 paint, and do the basic outlines of him. Their eyes are done with that color, and some of the like outer textures of their fur and such. But then I have developed the ability, after I had this all done, to take paint, mix it on a plate, mix this mixture of paint and latex with water to a consistency that I can put it in this tiny brush and bleed it into the picture to make shadowing and darker skin, darker fur.
Well, Phyllis, in addition to your special loving ratties, you've had the opportunity to become a mommy to many special creatures over the years.
Flying squirrels, baby cottontails. I just raised 4 of those and released them, and they were just a joy. I've had jackrabbits, birds. I've had chipmunks, mantle ground squirrels, regular squirrels. I have had about birds of all types, robins, blue jays, bee martins. I don't know, I'm known in town as the animal lady, so when anybody finds... I even saved a little land turtle once. He had been run over by a car and chipped his little shell. He was very small. So I put the purple medicine on him to stop any maggots or flies that would have laid eggs in his sore and cleaned it out so it wouldn't get infected. And once I was sure it was okay, I mixed up epoxy and I super glued his shell back together. And I kept him as a pet for 1 year. He buried himself in my flower bed. I kept a little fence around it. And I thought he was gone. Next spring, I went out, and here he is. Here's Tommy, walking around. He'd buried himself. And I decided he needed to go out and live in the sandhills where he was found. So I took him and released him. It was kind of sad, but he took right off. So that's probably the most unique one, because he needed to have his shell glued back together. And then online, I had seen where they make bills for little ducks out of epoxy, so hey, I had the idea first.
Another unusual member of your family was a special sparrow that thought you were his mommy as well.
Oh, I had more than one. I had 3, and they all were equally the same. I raised them from teeny tiny, I mean not feathers, from little tiny pink ones. My Spatsy was his name, because that's the English word for sparrow. He was a male. He would sleep with me. I was pregnant at the time, and he would nestle into me and take naps with me in the afternoon and take dust baths on the bed, pretend dust baths, you know, like birds do. He'd fluff, and he'd sit by me, and he'd talk to me, and I'd stroke him. And he learned where the faucet was when I would fill his little water cup. He had a cage, but he lived in it and out of it. So he got to the point that he would go and land on the kitchen sink faucet and chirp, that monotonous, spatsy chirp, and ask for a drink, and I would give it to him. When I would eat my meals, he would land on the edge of my plate and help his little self. And when I was watching TV or embroidering or drawing or whatever, I would have I called him Rodan because he would attack me. My earrings, my earrings and necklaces, he would just it hurt. If he would play so rough, he would really hurt my ear. He was like he was trying to take that earring out of my ear. He was amazing. A common little sparrow, and I've had expensive birds of all types, and none showed this bird had intelligence. He was bonded with me. He communicated with me.
Well, Phyllis, although you've had many special rats in your life, Cleo stands out from the crowd. Tell us about this unusually special rat.
Cleo was the most beautiful Dumbo hooded rat you've ever seen. Her ears were enormous and super low. She was very, very intelligent. Although a bad girl, she always went to the boys' cages when she played. I had my earrings at playtime one evening, real gold, real emerald loops laying here on my bedside. When I put the babies to bed, I realized one loop is gone. When I put Cleo away, I thought, oh no. And I searched under the dressers and everywhere I couldn't find it. So I put the remaining one back and thought, well, maybe it'll surface when I'm cleaning or something. The very next night at playtime, when it was Cleo's turn, I was on the bed with her and we were playing around. I had inadvertently looked at the TV, or anyway, taken my eyes off of her, and she was down scampering on the floor. I looked back around at the nightstand, and believe it or not, there laid my other emerald earring. She had brought it back and laid it down where she got it. And people tell me, oh, she was just playing with it. She returned, and she just happened to be where she picked it up and, laid it down. No, she knew it was Mama's and it was expensive. Didn't even know it was a pretty trinket. Rats like to say pretty things. She brought it back to me.
Well, another aspect of your ratties was how they enjoyed dressing up and posing for the cutest photographs. Tell us how you got them to put up with being dressed in costumes.
I was on rat boards with many other people, and they would attempt to dress their rats or to make their rats little characters. I had rats that were so bonded to me and trusted me so much and understood everything I said and knew what I wanted out of them that I created them little costumes and I created props. And I created the most amazing little pictures. There is 2 girls having a picnic with a bike and a little ball glove and watermelon, and I even made miniature bologna sandwiches. There's Tiki in her bathtub with her little shoe and her dress, how she's from a night out, and she's taking a nice bubble bath. She's a Naki. Tiki also had one where she was Nefertiti. She was a little in Egypt, a little queen, just like she was, a princess. And Suki was a little black girl, and she was a little witch with a cauldron and a witch hat and little tiny rats around her and a broom. And then also, Suki was a fortune teller. I have a miniature crystal ball and a miniature keychain Ouija board, purple little tape, or her little self with a little cape, and I put little gold earrings on the purple cape so that when it was fitted on her little neck, she looked like she had big gold loop earrings like a gypsy. And those are just samples. And they were so tame, and that's how intelligent rats are. And if you really get them to bond to you and love you, you can accomplish things like that with them. I have pictures to prove it. Not being held down, not being forced. They knew what I wanted.
Well, Phyllis, one of the things I've always wanted to do is take an Airstream trailer on vacation across the USA and take our ratties along with us, too. And you've been fortunate enough to do some of that kind of vacationing, maybe not across the USA, but to the Colorado Rockies.
I have always loved the Colorado Rockies. We have a 30-foot camper we take, and I've always taken my ratties with me. I do have smaller travel cages for some of the bigger ones, but I managed to fit them all in there. In the campgrounds, I have a little carrying cage. It's like rather like a duffel bag or a plastic suitcase, but it's made to put over your shoulder and to take your little pets for a walk. So, and it has a screen on the side where they can see out and you can talk to them. So I would put this over my shoulder, and in the campgrounds in the Colorado Rockies, we would take walks. And, everybody's showing their poodle or their parrot or their whatever. I awed them all. I displayed my rats. They were the bells of the ball. Everybody loved them. Everybody wanted to touch them. I had people coming from other segments of the campground to see the rats. It was really amazing. And I have pictures of them. And at night, I would let them out, and they had the best time in that camper. But just a little tiny house, and they could just scamper on the carpet and go into the kitchen and up on the couch and over the bed. They'd be in the windows of the camper looking out. They were just precious in it. But they still are. Next time I go, there'll be rats in it, my camper. So never believe that you can't take your rat camp, and they love it.
My guest on this edition of Critter Chat has been Phyllis Pickett from Garden City, Kansas, also known as the Kansas Rat Lady. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Raleigh Adams.